Date today is December 6th, 2020. Remember, there's only heaven and earth. And the title of this video is going to be Flat Earth Water Part 3. Yes, Flat Earth Water Part 3. And as we're picking up where we left off, we're talking about tide, which is talking about the water. And for some reason, I don't understand if the gravitational force of the moon is supposedly causing the tides, then why do we have a difference? Why don't we have tides in the Great Lakes like we do in the oceans? Why do we have, the Great Lakes are like oceans. They are huge bodies of water. Massive amounts of water. Why don't they have that? Because that is just pure nonsense. The moon, what's the moon? Gravitational is so much less than the Earth, Stephen?
Yeah, the moon's like 128. The gravitational pull is 128 that of the Earth. So how's any pull from the moon have any effect on the Earth if the Earth has such a huge gravitational pull? If anything, it should be pulling the moon into the Earth, but the moon just stays up there all the time, and for seasons and days and times, like our stars, they're up there all the time. They've been there throughout eternity. The same exact thing spinning over us. So I don't know how we're spinning through space if we have the same constellations over and over and over and over and over.
So what you're saying is that all these lights were put into the dome to shine light upon the Earth to be like a clock or a calendar? Is that what you're saying?
Yep, to show day, times,
I would
years.
say that probably a lot of people aren't agree with you, but that's right out of the living Word of God in Genesis chapter 1, verse 14 through 16. So spot on, Stephen. We see that the Genesis 1, verses 1 through 2 isn't talking about the face, right? The face of the deep. Mentioned
in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters.
Okay, so the face of the deep, the face of the waters. Interesting why it's using the face, part of God's creation, to understand how God is moving, and the face is a relatively flat surface. It's like falling flat on your face. I believe that that's actually flat on your face is mentioned of Balaam, when the donkey wouldn't go around the angel, and Balaam kept beating the donkey, the ass, and finally God gave the power of the donkey to say something and go, quit beating me. And he's like, I didn't know. And so he got off the donkey or the ass and he fell flat on his face. Because that is a representation of a flat surface. So the height of the surface of a body of water is called the water level, is it not? Because it is understood that the surface of all water at rest is flat and level, correct? Isn't that what it is? The surface of water, all water at rest is flat and level. So where you have water level, the definition of water level means flat.
Correct.
An instrument to show the level by means of the surface, and you notice that surface is based upon the word face. It's the face. And you notice the first mention of face in the Bible is referring to water level, is it not? Moved across the surface of the water. And so we see that the water level, an instrument to show the level by means of the surface of water in a trough or in a U-shaped tube. The surface of still water is the level assumed by the surface of a particular body or column of water. So if you have a U-shaped cylinder or whatever, cavity there, water is going to seek its own level. If it's in a U, it's going to be level on either side. If you're on a sphere, it wouldn't work that way. So moving on, we have level, right? The Middle English comes from the word plumb line. Plumb line. Like a plumb bob, you hang something down and it's going to, because of density, it's going to give a vertical. And that's what you have. You have vertical and horizontal. Level. Number one, a device for establishing a horizontal line or plane. So now you have horizontal line or plane or flat surface. Where do you think you get horizontal from? You get horizontal from horizon. If you look out to the horizon, it's flat and level. And no matter how high you go, your eyes rise to the horizon, right, Stephen?
Much.
I'm trying to think of
The horizon rises up to you. In other words, if you're on a ball, when you go up, the horizon would fall away. It would drop down.
Right.
And it doesn't. When you go up, the horizon goes up with you.
Right, because...
And you can just see further and further.
Like in a
ball
plane.
Disappear, yeah.
Yeah, we should be looking down on the sphere.
Yeah,
because
it go on off into the abyss, but you don't.
Yeah, and you would have to continually tilt the plane down the nose, otherwise you go out in outer space, apparently into a vacuum. It doesn't happen that way. When you're in a plane, you go up, you're ascending, right? Then you get a cruising altitude, which means you're going level or plane, and that's why they have an altimeter, which has to keep, it's called an artificial horizon, correct? And a horizon is horizontal, otherwise you would crash into the earth. Not a good thing. So you have a horizontal line or plane by means of a bubble in a liquid that shows adjustment to the horizontal by movement to the center of a slightly bowed glass tube. To make a line or surface horizontal, make flat or level to bring to a horizontal aiming position. And that's where you would get a surveyor's level. Why did they call it a surveyor's level and not a surveyor's curvature? Because it's a surveyor's level. And it's done by the line of sight. Horizontal, right? It means a level. This is all level. Level.
I've seen them take water in a clear tube and for 30, 40, 50 feet, and you can make perfect level. You can make a perfect level with water, because water will be at whatever it is in the end of one tube, it will be the same in the end of the other tube.
And that would be a perfectly
you hold
flat
it off the ground,
or horizontal surface. And that's how they build things. You don't build things on a curvature. That would be insane.
No.
That'd be very unstable. I mean, they got bridges, one of the longest bridges. I think it's in China. And it's not done based upon the curvature. Based
120 miles or something like that.
Yeah.
There's no curve. I think there's 3 inches or something of difference. And it would be several feet of curvature.
Easy. Absolutely.
From several hundred.
So horizontal, level, flat, plane. That's why they call it an airplane. Even, smooth. This is all under level, right? We have level, right? Water level. That's what we're seeing.
And the plane arrow, that's air.
Right.
Plane is perfectly level, because when an aeroplane gets up to level, it planes off.
Oh, it planes off.
Yeah,
I never thought about that.
Yeah.
I just think it takes off of a plane.
It takes off and it gets level and then rides that plane.
To the earth or to the water.
Yeah.
It has to be level to that.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, if it wasn't...
If you crash in or go out into space, one of the two.
Right.
Which there's no space, so it won't go out in space.
But it would go too high where it would be unstable, where you would crash and you'd eventually come down, because we can only go so high.
Yeah.
All right, so that's it. I've never thought of it that way. And that's why we go over these things and hit it from different perspectives, because it is so incredibly majestic. And we're learning about God's honor and majesty.
I had a friend that came from China, and when he was going back to China, he said it was an 18-hour flight. I go, well, you know what? It was like 45,000 feet, so you get up to 45,000 feet and you stay there for 18 hours. Yep.
That's cruising altitude.
That's cruising altitude, but
you level
how
up.
long? No. If you stayed level, you would shoot off into space if we were on a ball.
Right.
There's just no way.
Exactly. Something to think about, folks. Something to think about. So Yeah, surveyor's level, horizontal, level, flat, plane, even, smooth. Smooth means having a surface without bends or curves. That's what smooth means. So if you have smooth water, does it have any bends or curves? No, it's just flat. It's level, it's plain. It's even, it's smooth. Level applies to a horizontal surface that lies on a line parallel with the horizon, right? And the horizon was God's creation of heaven and earth. That's why you have a horizon, because of heaven and earth. Flat applies to a surface devoid of noticeable curvatures. Prominences. Plane applies to any real flat surface in which a straight line between any 2 points on it lies wholly within that surface. Example, the plane side of a crystal. That's interesting. So you ever seen beautiful crystals? They have a plane or a level or a smooth surface. That is one side. A sphere doesn't have that.
It's called a facet.
A facet. Really? I didn't
Like a
know.
1 carat diamond ring or 1 carat diamond has 100 facets.
100 facets.
A 3/4 carat diamond carat has 75 facets. A half carat diamond ring has 50 facets.
So they're faces.
Mm-hmm.
They're surface. They're surface.
Yep.
I never knew that. Man, we're just students, aren't we? I never facet. Well, I'm gonna have to look that
Fascinating.
up. It is fascinating learning about facets. Even applies to a surface that is noticeably flat or level, or to a line that is observably straight. Okay, continuing. Horizon, right? Learning about the horizon, to bound, define from horos or boundary. The apparent junction of earth and sky. That's what horizon means. The apparent, it's the junction of earth and sky. What does that mean? Well, that's right there in Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created heaven and earth. Heaven and earth are connected. That's the junction of earth and sky. But no, what do the heliocentric priests that most Christians believe? They're going, yeah, God created heaven and earth, but He didn't really create that, and they're not connected, and then God formed it into this ball, and He spins it, it's going, it's spinning at 1,000 miles per second, and the earth has 25,000 miles circumference, going day 1, going, I'm waiting. Day 2 is going, I'm waiting. What's the earth waiting for? To spin around the sun, right? So the earth as a globe had to wait 4 days and finally goes, yeah, and starts spinning around the earth at 67,000 miles per hour.
Yeah, right.
If that's what you want to believe, but that is fancy. That's fantasia. That is fantasy. The only thing that's ever gone to space, outer space, is your imagination. All right. So horizon, that's why what was it, Stephen? The horizon always rises to meet your
eye level.
Meet your eye level, because it's connected. Heaven and earth, or the earth and sky, are connected. The great circle of this celestial sphere, that's what we see, the circle, the atmosphere formed by the intersection of the celestial sphere with a plane tangent. That's what horizon means. The plane tangent, the flat tangent.
Right.
That's a definition of horizon. Welcome to the English language, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the English language. All right, the celestial sphere with a plane tangent. That's heaven and earth. And tangent means plane tangent means to touch gently, meeting a curve or surface in a single point if a sufficiently small interval is considered. Straight tangent lined to a curve, tangent plane. The plan through a point of a surface that contains the tangent lines to all curves on the surface through the same point. to the Earth's surface at an observer's position. A little bit technical, but for those that want to look into that a little bit more, you can also see what's an azimuth.
Right.
A-Z-I-M-U-T-H, azimuth. Now, when I was in the military, you had a compass and you could shoot an azimuth. Why? Because you're on the Earth. It's level and flat. It has contours. Sure it does. But you could shoot an azimuth, which is a straight line. Now, horizontal comes from horizon, which is the connection of heaven and earth. That's where you get horizontal. Now, horizontal means what? Plane, flat, level, right? Isn't that what horizontal means? Now, of or relating to or suited near the horizon, parallel to, in the plane of, or operating in a plane parallel to the horizon or to a baseline. Baseline, level, all of this stuff. So now you're looking at an azimuth. An azimuth. The way, that's what it means. It means the way. And that's how the mariners were allowed the navigational. Go ahead, my brother.
They also use sextants, which is a mechanical device that uses the sun
Yes.
and the ocean so they can tell exactly where they are.
Oh, okay.
But a sextant is used in navigation, on ocean navigation.
So you're
It's that
saying,
curved thing that's curved.
okay, but they're using the ocean as a level or
Yes.
as a horizontal surface. You couldn't do it if it was curvature. It would curving out.
Right.
So this is true science, ladies and gentlemen. This is what how we've been able to navigate the seas for thousands of years.
Right.
So it's the way. An azimuth, number one, is an arc of the horizon. An arc of the horizon, remember that you have the firmament is an arch, a rainbow. It's a refraction, a reflection off of the firmament, the vault or the dome of the sky, connected to Earth, measured between a fixed point as true north. So now we're understanding an azimuth, a fixed point as true north. You wouldn't have a fixed point of true north if you're spinning and gyrating through infinite outer space. But from God's creation, right, Stephen? Universe, uni means one and verse means to turn.
Yep.
And if you just
There's only
fix a
one.
camera and you go shoot, you're filming above, you would see that all the stars are rotating against the fixed point, which is true north. Or true north is what? Polaris, right? Polaris is true
the
north.
North Star.
North Star, yes. The North Star, that's true north. And the vertical circle passing through the center of an object, usually in astronomy and navigation clockwise from the north point through 360 degrees. Number two definition of azimuth is horizontal direction expressed as the angular distance between the direction of a fixed point as the observer's heading and the direction of an object that says look up azimuthal. So now we're getting into azimuthal. Now, a little bit technical, but azimuthal equidistant. Now, I'm going to show this. I just took this out of the dictionary. It's a little bit small, but Stephen, can they see that?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what I did is I tried to make it a little bit bigger, and I apologize, I'm not a great artist or anything like that, but what you just saw, can they see this?
Yeah.
Okay, can they see the whole
yeah,
thing?
they can see the whole thing.
Okay, now that is basically where we live. That is true science. And that's why you have what's called an azimuthal equidistant. And if you look at that definition, and I'm going to read it to you right now, the azimuthal equidistant projection. Projection means a map, and we used to have a map behind us for a very long time. But the azimuthal equidistant projection is a map projection of the surface of the Earth, there's only the Earth, so centered at any given point that a straight line radiating from the center to any other point represents the shortest distance and can be measured to scale.
That sounded a little convoluted. You
right.
can put a point on the map and in the center of the map and measure out anywhere you want. It'll give you accurate distance between the 2 points.
Okay. And that's how that's the AE, that's
Yep.
what they navigate through the ocean.
Well, and that's what NASA uses too for doing all their calculations.
All their
on
calculations.
flying.
Now, a little technical. I mean, maybe this is like, okay, you lost me, but you can look up these things, and maybe maybe you have a gift in understanding this stuff, and all you have to do is have the mindset of God instead of the mindset of Satan, and man, you can roll with this and explain it in simpler terms and better terms than what I'm doing right now.
Here's all the points on the map are at a proportionally correct distance from the center point. And that all points on the map are the correct azimuth from the center point, which is, I guess, measurement.
Okay, so what we're looking at is the circle of the earth. Doesn't God look down upon the circle of the earth?
Yep.
I believe it's in Isaiah something 22, circle, and it doesn't say ball. He uses the two different definitions because you have a lot of people that are heliocentric defenders, but they say that circle means ball, but that's not true. So a circle, you have the center, and it's going to radiate in equal distance from that center.
And it's Isaiah 40:22. It is he that sitteth upon the circle of the earth, and the inhabitants thereof are as grasshoppers that stretcheth out the heavens. That stretcheth out the heavens as a curtain, and he spreadeth them out as a tent to dwell in.
So that circle, it corresponds with what we talked about in Psalm 104, and I believe it's in Isaiah 22, verse
Where
that
it
we
talks
talked
about
about
ball.
Yeah, but can they see this, Stephen? This is a circle, is it not?
Yes.
So at the center right there is going to be your North Star, or at the center point, and any
Right.
projection from that point is the shortest distance. That would be impossible on a
But
ball.
you can't use the measurements. You can't tell where you're going on a ball.
Right. You can't.
Even maps that show a ball show that tell you the distance is incorrect. It's Isaiah 22:18. He will
Yes.
surely violently turn and toss thee like a ball into a large country.
Okay, so there's difference between a sphere and a circle. Now, there are some that will state that a circle and a sphere mean the same thing. And they go, and you have people that are Christians that will say, I've been teaching math for 15 years, and a circle and a sphere are the same thing. Now, that is just desperation, but a projection.
That's like saying a basketball and a frisbee are the same thing.
He has a very valid point. That is obtuse. That is ignorance. That is desperation. That is just
That's
rhetoric.
grabbing at straws.
Yeah, that really is.
Come on.
Come on. So projection is going to be a systematic representation of intersecting coordinate lines on a flat surface. That's how you navigate
Right.
on Earth, is the azimuthal equidistant projection. I'm looking at projection now, and it says coordinate lines on a flat surface upon which features from a curved surface. Maybe this is how you map. A projectionist, a cartographer is so the oceans. Break it down. I know I got a little technical there. But the oceans cover 71% of the Earth's surface. This proves that it is impossible for the Earth to be a sphere when 71% of its surface is covered by water, which is necessarily must be flat and level. Think about that for a second.
Right.
71% of the Earth's surface is covered by water, and when it's calm, sea level is the same everywhere.
Yep.
That's impossible on a sphere.
And Andover, that measurement, they've been doing measurements since 1901, I think, Andover. And they've measured sea level, and it's the same or actually lower than it was back in 1901. So
Wow. So that's science.
the sea's been completely level.
So water was covering the earth upon its creation because God states that darkness was upon the face of the deep. Then God describes his movement upon the face of the waters. And since the surface of all water at rest is flat and level, the earth must have been flat from the beginning. Think about that for a second.
Right.
In Genesis 1 verse 2, God moved upon the face of the necessarily flat water. The earth created by God began as flat water. Face, the front part of the head that in humans extends from the forehead to the chin and includes the mouth, nose, cheeks, eyes. The archaic definition of the word face means presence or sight. And from face, you get surface. So surface, if we're, like right now, we're filming and we have the camera on a flat table, on a surface. It's not mounted on a sphere. It's mounted on the surface of a table. Surface from sur plus face, more at face, the exterior or upper boundary of an object or body on the surface of the water. That's what face means. The surface of the water. The earth's surface, front, upper, or outer surface. This is all under the definition of face. The front of something having two or more sides. Any of the plane surfaces that bound a geometric, that's geometry, geo meaning earth, and measuring the earth is by faces. The sphere, a sphere does not have a face. I'll say that again. A sphere does not have a face, but when you're dealing with geometry, like Steve was talking about measuring diamonds and stuff like that, I forgot what he was talking about, but that to me was very insightful. When you're dealing in mathematics, you have faces or surfaces.
Facets. Yeah.
Facets. Facets is from face. I didn't even think about that. Wow. So come to the living Word of God. Come to God's true cosmology, and we'll see you in the next video. God bless you. Bye.